Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel, Bachelor Nation News. Fans, the Golden Bachelor Season 2 lead, Mel Owens, has chosen his final two women with whom he'll share overnight fantasy suite dates after meeting their families during their hometown dates. Mel, a 66-year-old NFL player turned lawyer and divorced dad of two sons from Detroit, Michigan, began his Golden Bachelor journey with 23 women, age 58 to 77. He faced fierce backlash before his season began because of ageist comments that he made on the In the Trenches podcast. Mel had stated that he only wanted to date women age 45 to 60, and that he'd cut anyone over the age of 60 from his cast. In addition, he said that he didn't want to date any women with artificial hips or wigs. Because of this, many Golden Bachelor fans called for him to be fired. However, Mel's season began with him apologizing to the women, and his path to finding love has been successful so far. Throughout the Golden Bachelor Season 2, Mel built strong relationships with his final three women: Cindy Cullors, a 60-year-old divorced retired biomedical engineer from Austin, Texas; Debbie Siebers, a 65-year-old fitness professional from Denver, Colorado, who's never been married; and Peg Munson, a 62-year-old divorced retired firefighter and bomb tech from Las Vegas, Nevada. Now he's narrowed them down to his final two after a shocking elimination. Mel chose Cindy and Peg for his overnight fantasy suite dates. After Mel met Cindy, Debbie, and Peg's families, he chose Cindy and Peg for his overnight fantasy suite dates. Mel's first hometown date was with Peg in Las Vegas, where he met her fellow firefighters and her mother, brother, sister-in-law, daughter, and daughter's boyfriend. Peg told her mother that she would say yes to a proposal from Mel. During Cindy's hometown date in Austin, he met her three daughters, her son-in-law, and her soon-to-be son-in-law. She told her daughters that she'd be willing to move to California for Mel. Mel also let him know that she was falling for him, but she stopped herself from telling him that she loved him because she needed more reassurance from him before she said it. Mel sent Debbie home. When Mel chose Cindy and Peg for his final two women, it meant that he had to say goodbye to Debbie. During her hometown date in Denver, Mel met her two brothers, her two sisters, including her twin, and her brother-in-law. Debbie had told Mel that she was falling for him, and they seemed to have a really deep connection. From the very beginning of the Golden Bachelor Season 2, Debbie seemed like a frontrunner to win Mel's heart. However, his connections with the other women were stronger, so he shockingly sent her home. Although Debbie was devastated by Mel breaking up with her, she wished him well. She said in her confessional that she'd put herself out there in a big way, only to have yet another disappointment. Debbie cried that it was beyond painful. It's going to be very exciting to see who Mel chooses in the end, Cindy or Peg, and if he proposes to her. It would also be wonderful to see Debbie become the next star of the Golden Bachelorette. Mel, Cindy, Peg, and Debbie all deserve love and happiness, and hopefully they'll find it sooner than later and live happily ever after.
The Golden Bachelor mansion was thicker than the velvet curtains draping the grand living room. Mel Owens, the charismatic, slightly mischievous yet heartbreakingly genuine bachelor, was about to make a decision fans had been dying to see. The final two, the fantasy suites, the ultimate romantic showdown. Spoilers ahead, but trust us, this was worth the wait. The night began with a soft drizzle tapping against the mansion's windows, almost like nature itself was keeping a secret. Candles flickered across the room, casting shadows that danced like whispers of anticipation. Mel walked in, a mix of nerves and determination etched across his face. He held two envelopes in his hands, each containing the name of the woman who would share an intimate, private getaway with him in the fantasy suites. First, the camera caught a close-up of Mel, his blue eyes scanning the room, catching the anxious gazes of the remaining women. His voice was steady, but you could hear the slight tremor of emotion. This season has been unbelievable. I've laughed, I've cried, and I've felt things I never thought I could. But now, it's time for the final two. A hush fell over the mansion. The women sat, some fidgeting with nervous fingers, others holding on to each other for moral support. The editors cleverly cut to slow-motion reactions, eyes widening, gasps, hands flying to mouths, as Mel extended his hand toward the first envelope. And the first woman heading to the fantasy suites is... He paused dramatically, teasing just long enough to make hearts skip a beat. Peg. The camera zoomed in on Peg, her jaw dropping, tears welling in her eyes. She had been a quiet contender in the beginning, but her authenticity, intelligence, and gentle humor had quietly won over Mel, and now the viewers too. She jumped up, unable to contain her excitement, while confetti seemed to fall from nowhere, a tiny celebratory moment orchestrated perfectly for reality TV magic. Peg, you make me feel alive in ways I didn't know were possible, Mel said softly, voice cracking just slightly. I can't wait to see what this next step brings for us. Peg's eyes sparkled as she whispered something inaudible to the camera, something that sounded like, "It's finally real." Then the room went still again. The second envelope gleamed under the soft chandelier light, almost taunting the remaining women. Mel inhaled deeply, his hand hovering for a moment before opening it. "And the second woman," he said, voice gaining a warmth that hinted at deep affection, "is Cindy." Cindy, ever the firecracker of the season, jumped up, screaming in delight and spinning around like a whirlwind of joy. Her journey had been full of dramatic ups and downs, heated conversations, and laughter that could light up an entire city. But it had all led her to this moment. Mel looked at Cindy, his eyes softening. "Cindy, you challenge me, you make me laugh until my cheeks hurt, and you remind me that love is both fun and serious. I want to explore this with you fully. Completely." The camera cut between the two women, Peg and Cindy, their reactions so contrasting yet equally heartfelt, one serene, one fiery, but both undeniably connected to Mel in a way that made fans scream at their screens. The fantasy suites, the next stage of the journey, wasn't just about romance, it was about intimacy, vulnerability, and discovering whether the love they'd built could survive beyond the carefully curated dates and emotional rose ceremonies. As the episode teased the upcoming fantasy suites dates, Mel's voiceover left fans hanging. "I've opened my heart in ways I never thought I could, and these two incredible women, they've made it possible. But this is only the beginning. The real journey starts now." Cue dramatic music, slow-motion shots of champagne glasses clinking, waves crashing on a private beach, and whispered conversations in candlelit rooms. The screen faded to black with the words, "To be continued." And just like that, the internet exploded. Social media was ablaze with hashtags, memes, and fervent debates. Peg or Cindy, who would win the Golden Bachelor's heart? Every fan had an opinion, but one thing was certain. Mel Owens' Fantasy Suites episodes were about to deliver some of the most dramatic, romantic, and jaw-dropping moments in
The mansion's
Bachelor
hallways, normally buzzing with chatter, were silent except for the occasional nervous laugh. Peg and Cindy were each whisked away separately for their final pre-fantasy suite chats with Mel. Cameras followed them, capturing every flinch, every heartbeat, every subtle glance. Peg's scene opened with her sitting by a roaring fireplace, a soft blanket around her shoulders. "I can't believe I'm here," she whispered to the camera, voice trembling with excitement. "I've always been cautious with my heart, but with Mel, it just feels right." When Mel arrived, the chemistry was instant. He reached out, brushing a stray hair from her face, and the camera lingered on the intimacy of the gesture. "Peg, I need you to know this. This isn't just a fling. I've made you want to be the best version of myself." Peg's eyes welled up, and for a moment, time seemed to slow. Meanwhile, Cindy's pre-fantasy suite moment was fiery, raw, and unfiltered. She paced the veranda overlooking the moonlit ocean. "I'm scared," she admitted to the camera. "I've never felt this intensely before, but if I'm going to risk it all, it has to be with Mel." When Mel approached, Cindy's tough exterior cracked just enough for him to step in. "You push me," he said, grinning. But you also make me feel things I didn't think I could. I want to see where this goes, with no holding back." Cindy's usual smirk softened into a genuine smile, and viewers could see why she'd captured his heart. The fantasy suites itself was cinematic perfection. Private villas perched above the ocean, candlelit paths, and suites that felt more like luxurious sanctuaries than TV sets. Mel's voiceover set the tone. These rooms aren't just for romance, they're for revealing who we really are when no one is watching. Peg's sweet date was tender and heartfelt. They laughed over inside jokes from past dates, shared quiet conversations about family, and for the first time, Mel opened up about his fears. He said, "I've been hurt before, but with you, Peg, it feels like I could take a leap without looking back." Peg reached for his hand, their fingers intertwining like puzzle pieces finally coming together. Cindy's sweet date, by contrast, was a storm of passion and playful tension. They danced under the stars, teased each other relentlessly, and challenged each other's perspectives. The emotional highs and lows were palpable. "I don't want to hide anything from you," she said, voice breaking. "I want it all, the love, the chaos, the truth." Mel pulled her close, whispering, "That's exactly what I want too." The episode cut to reaction shots of fans at home, tweets exploding, Instagram stories buzzing, and YouTube comments debating every glance, every touch. "Peg is melting my heart," one fan tweeted. Another shouted, "Cindy is the fire Mel needs." The internet was in full meltdown mode. As the night drew to a close, both women had shared unforgettable, intimate moments with Mel. The fantasy wasn't just about romance. It was about connection, vulnerability, and courage. The audience knew that after the fantasy suites, one of them would not continue on the journey with him, making every smile, every laugh, and every tear feel magnified. Mel Owens' final two had been revealed, and the fantasy suites had set the stage for what reality TV fans live for: heartbreak, passion, and the ultimate question lingering over every viewer's head: which love story will survive and which will end in heartbreak? The teaser for the next episode promised truths revealed, confessions made, and one final choice that will shock the world. And just like that, the drama was
The night air
only
outside the
beginning.
mansion was thick with anticipation, carrying the faint scent of ocean salt and the promise of secrets about to be unveiled. Inside, the atmosphere was electric. An invisible buzz seemed to hum through every candlelit corridor, every polished floorboard. Mel Owens was about to experience something that would test his heart in ways even he hadn't expected. Peg and Cindy had both prepared for their private fantasy suite dates, but neither knew what the other had experienced, creating a tension that simmered just beneath the surface of the mansion. For Peg, the evening started with quiet reflection. Sitting on a velvet chaise by the fire, she replayed every moment she had shared with Mel: the laughter, the whispered confessions, the glances that said more than words ever could. When Mel entered, the air seemed to shift. His gaze locked with hers, and the camera lingered on the subtle chemistry: a soft touch on her hand, a whispered joke that made her laugh so hard she nearly cried. "Peg," Mel said softly, "I've loved getting to know you. You're the calm in my chaos, the one who sees me, really sees me." Peg's hand trembled as she reached for his, and in that instant, viewers at home could feel the sincerity radiating between them. Meanwhile, Cindy's sweet date was a whirlwind. As she opened the door, Mel grinned and the sparks flew immediately. The ocean roared below as they laughed, danced, and teased each other mercilessly. "I don't want to play it safe anymore," Cindy admitted, her voice catching with emotion. "I want everything, Mel. I want real, raw love." Mel pulled her close, his own vulnerability breaking through. "I want that too, more than anything." But it wasn't just romance. There was drama lurking in the shadows. Cutaways revealed the reactions of the women still in the mansion, the ones who had been eliminated but were watching from afar. One whispered, "Cindy's energy is unstoppable. But Peg, there's something so grounding about her." Another added, "I don't even know how he's going to choose. My heart can't take this." The fantasy suites were the perfect backdrop for confessions that could make or break love. Peg and Mel shared quiet, intimate moments, long walks under the stars, holding hands on a balcony as the ocean waves crashed below, whispering secrets they'd never told anyone. "I can't imagine leaving here without knowing this," Mel confessed, his voice thick with emotion. Peg smiled, tears glinting in her eyes. "Neither can I. I've never felt so seen." Sindhu's suite, by contrast, was a storm of passion and confrontation. They laughed, teased, argued playfully, and then broke into serious conversation about their fears and hopes. "I'm scared of losing you," Cindy admitted, "but I also know I can't hold back what I feel." Mel's voice softened as he pulled her close. "I don't want to lose you either. I want this, us, fully, completely." Just when it seemed the night couldn't get any more intense, the producers threw in a twist. The camera cut to Mel alone, pacing the villa balcony, speaking in a reflective voiceover. "I've opened my heart, but this choice, this decision, is harder than I ever imagined. Both women bring something unique, something real. How do you choose when you've already won in two ways?" Back inside, Peg and Cindy were each unaware of the other's intimate moments with Mel, heightening the stakes. Fans at home were screaming at their screens, debating hashtags like Team Peg and Team Cindy. Social media was on fire. Clips of Peg laughing with Mel circulated instantly. Cindy's tearful confession went viral in minutes. Reality TV had never felt this suspenseful. The episode ended with both women looking out at the moonlit ocean, wondering what the next day would bring. Meanwhile, Mel sat alone, holding a single rose, staring at the stars, and whispering, "How do you choose between two hearts that have both captured yours?" And just like that, the Golden Bachelor fantasy suites had done what they always do: leave the audience breathless, the cast emotionally raw, and the world of social media in utter chaos. The finale promised heartbreak, joy, and a decision that would shock fans to their core.